Lights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away now. Kings in our blood, we ride strong and proud. Running up the score, Kings never back down. If you don't like that, this ain't your town.
Oh, let's get that beautiful graphic down so we can see names.
How are you, buddy? It's all over, 110 to 96. Sabonis with a monster game, a triple-double, 21 points, 22 rebounds, 10 assists. Fox with 30. I'm not that impressed with it. It was just a ho-hum game. They're going to have to play a hell of a lot better on the rest of this road trip. I'll take the W, but they're going to have to play a hell of a lot better than they did tonight.
Yeah, much better second half. So at least we saw that from them. But they're going to have to show me, Grant, that they can handle pressure a little bit better. When they get blitzed, when they get sped up, things on offense just don't look the same. And the better teams are going to do that to you, Napes.
The assist-to-turnover ratio was not good. Assists were good. The turnovers, too many in this game tonight.
Far too many. And far too many unforced things that just should not be a part of Kings basketball when they are humming the right way. But, hey, you give them credit. They fought through it. De'Aaron Fox, 16 points in the third quarter, played that entire period. So good to see him back.
Sabonis played 41 minutes tonight. That's a lot of minutes.
It's a lot of minutes. Doug Christie barely went to the bench, Grant, in the second half.
He doesn't have a bench.
He doesn't. He did not play Herter. He did not play McDermott. I think Trey got a few minutes there in the second half, and it was Keon. That was a wrap. He rolled with the starters, and it's unfortunate that's what you got to do against a team like this that had so many players injured tonight.
I told all the fans about McDermott after everyone went gaga after what he did in the fourth quarter against Denver. I said, that doesn't mean anything. It means nothing. It was garbage time. And what did I tell you? Now teams have a little bit more video of him. The Knicks completely shut him down. And tonight he did absolutely nothing in 7 minutes. So, to me, McDermott is not part of the he's just not the guy. Lyles is completely up and down. You mentioned Kevin Herter at halftime. He didn't even play tonight. The only guy you have on the bench that can help you is Keon Ellis. Devin Carter's really not ready yet. When I mean not ready yet, I'm talking about where you know what you're going to get and you can get consistent minutes from him. He's just not there yet, and don't expect too much. He shouldn't be there. He didn't have training camp. He didn't have, he had a lot of off time. It's going to take him a while to catch up. So you just can't count on him. That's not fair.
Yeah, you don't need consistent minutes from him per se. You need 5-6 minute spurts where it's just all out defensively. And I was a little surprised, were you? Because in the first half, they were not picking up the pressure. They were not picking up full court. Didn't start till the third quarter. And Grant, that's what Devin Carter's made for.
100%. It's exactly what he's made for, right? That's his MO, correct?
Yeah, it's corner to corner, baseline to baseline, try to squeeze a mistake out of the other team. I just don't know that balance, though, Grant. Like, would a coach in the NBA say, don't worry about the offense, just do the defense? Or is it somewhere in the middle because the offense seems sped up? That's the struggle for him right now.
I mean, the game's played on both sides of the floor, obviously, right?
Yeah.
A lot depends what the score is during the game, what point of the game you're in. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be a process. It's just going to be a process. But regardless of Carter, the bench just from day one has been a real problem with this team.
Yeah, and I think this answers our question. We had this debate 2 or 3 post-game shows ago about, well, the Kings have now won 11 of 15 under Doug Christie. Does that mean you don't touch the bench? Do you not mess with the chemistry? I don't think there's any question as the season goes on, unless they continue to get lucky, you got to have another piece on that bench. Nothing that takes you over the top, just another piece, Grant.
And, for me, out of those 11 wins, only 3 have really impressed me. The rest have not impressed me. And I'm not impressed with the win tonight at all. I'm sorry. I'm just not. As a matter of fact, I actually have more of a feeling than a good feeling after watching the game tonight. There's nothing about tonight's game that impressed me other than some individual performances like Sabonis. I mean, how can you not be impressed with this guy? And when the All-Star reserves are announced on Thursday, his name better be called.
Yeah, don't hold your breath. I think I might be called in the wrong light. Like Sabonis got screwed, unfortunately. But yeah, he's been playing out of his mind, and it's just Mr. Consistent. Can you think of a more consistent king through the years than Domantas Sabonis?
Maybe Chris Webber. You know, he was the same every game, pretty much.
Okay. Like that? More
But
durable than Domantas Sabonis?
no.
Holy crap.
No. I mean, but you talked about consistency. You're talking about numbers night in, night out.
Right.
What Sabonis is doing is unbelievable.
Yeah, and finding his way. You know what was shocking to me, Grant? He only got 1 3-point attempt. He obviously knocked it down, and part of that was due to the blitzing that Brooklyn was doing. But he just keeps growing his game, and I wonder what the ceiling's going to be, because we sat here last year. We're like, well, if he got a mid-range or a 3-shot, well, now he's working that in. You know, he just seems so committed to the craft, and I love seeing it.
Don't forget that I am looking for a rant with Grant that I will do a little bit later in the show. It can be basketball. It can be football. It can be whatever you want, whatever's topical. A rant with Grant coming up here in a little bit.
Football? Are you talking about the American football, or are you talking about the football?
No, we're talking American football.
Oh, okay.
You know better than that.
And we want to hear from you guys too. Get up in here. You can use the link to call this show. Kazi, what's up?
Hey, this game, like it was not that great of a game. I mean, good thing they pulled away in the second half, as they should. You know, this team is good enough to beat these teams. If these are the games, like if you lose, you might as well just like give up to some extent. You know, you guys were talking about trade rumors, I think in your last show or something. And I was watching there's another YouTuber on here, like the Sacktown Sports Show. I think Jerry Reynolds was even on there. And they were saying that, and I was also watching Matt George. And
it doesn't matter. Just what did they say?
They were saying that Matt George was saying this, that they have a deal for John Collins, and it's very like everything's put together.
Really, how would they know that?
What?
Did Monty McNair call them up on the phone and tell them what deal he has? See, don't pay attention to rumors, because 99% of the stuff that you hear on the internet and on shows never comes true. And the trades that do happen are the ones that you've never heard about.
Hold on,
so,
Kazi.
Go ahead.
Kazi, go ahead and finish that, because I think there's something in the middle here. Go ahead.
Because like, you know, the thing is, I know you, like, anyone could go on Twitter and say, like, oh, this deal is happening or whatever. But Matt George is a very credible source.
You know what? Stop it. Would you please? Stop it. Stop it. Seriously, stop it. You think Matt George knows what the hell Monty McNair is going to do? Really? I mean, are you serious? You're not coming on our program talking about Matt George, who knows exactly what the Kings are going to do. Would you stop it? Use your freaking brain, would you please?
Yeah, Kazi, you got to listen a little closer. I'm pretty in tune with some of the people that do things in this area for the Kings. And that was a discussion with another podcaster close to the Jazz saying, oh, we think this would get the deal done. Yeah, I think from the Jazz side, they would do this. And the hang up was something along a trade exchange. Yeah, there's nothing in the framework per se.
It's really unbelievable.
Yes.
I mean, you start off our program with a crappy call like that. Seriously? Like, is that the best you can do on a post-game show? Really? Like,
that's terrible.
Oh my God. Wow. I really hope that the show goes a hell of a lot better the rest of the way, Ryno.
I think we'll be good. GP, what's up, GP?
Hey, how you guys doing, Grant?
What's up, GP?
Hey, great team win.
No, it's not a great team win. Stop it already. Stop it. It's not a great team
fighting
win.
Hard. I just like
it's not a great team win. Stop it. It's not a great team win. It's a win. Not a great win.
But
not a great team win.
We finally got something out of Fox.
He played well. He played well.
Yeah. So I'm saying somebody other than Sabonis and Debo and Keegan Murray finally did something. But I just like to say, hey, I'm just glad we won. Light the beam.
Yep.
I think still the question is glaring at the front office. Can we get a backup point guard and a backup center or some athleticism on this team? Trade Herter, trade Lyles ASAP to get John Collins or whoever you can get. We
GP, we're losing you,
help.
buddy. Thank you very much. We're losing you. You're breaking up on us. Thank you. It's not a great team win. I agree with you. The Kings need to solidify their bench. I don't know how Monty McNair is going to do it, but anyone that thinks this was a great team win wasn't paying attention to the game.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's great, Grant, but they found a way. If you look at the fundamentals, if you look at the pillars of Kings basketball, some of those things we can talk about. We'll pull up the board here in a minute, but anytime you grind and get one on the road, can we call it a good win? A good win? Win?
It's a win. It's not a good win.
Oh,
thank you very much for the super chat. If we had 17 turnovers against the G League Nets team, we are not even making a play in. I don't like that, but I do like NBA basketball. Really appreciate that very much. I like this characterization. It was a weird win. I would agree with you. You were down.
Yeah.
You were down 54-47 at the half, and then you came out with a very good third quarter, which I expected. I thought they would score 40, and then you were able to, win. But I'm sorry. I don't like the way the Kings approached this game after losing 2 games to Denver and the Knicks. And let's face it, they didn't play well at home against Golden State, and they beat a team that was decimated by injuries where they allowed 70-plus points in the first half. I'm sorry. It was not I wanted this Kings team to be – I wanted to see 4 quarters of very good basketball tonight, and I didn't see that.
There were 3 things that I was looking for really carefully. The first thing that I wanted to see was, could they get guys off the offensive rebounds or off the offensive boards? Not really. Brooklyn had 17 of them tonight.
Yeah.
Same problem, too many that they had in New York. The other thing that I wanted to see, which was better, was cutting off of the ball. Earlier on the pregame show, Kings Court, we put some visuals up. The Kings were flat-footed and standing around watching Domas work, watching somebody work, and not actually moving around. So I don't know if that's a product of teams kind of picking up what the Kings are doing and strategizing, or if it's just them being lazy, because in the first half it was bad. Second half it was better.
I did say Doug Christie doesn't deserve the job, and he didn't deserve the job. I didn't say he couldn't do the job. I said he didn't deserve the job. Do you understand the difference? I said he didn't deserve the job. I didn't say he couldn't do the job. I said he didn't deserve the job. He didn't deserve the job. And if you don't acknowledge that, then I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't know what else to say. I really don't. I didn't say he couldn't do the job. I said he didn't deserve to be promoted to interim head coach. That's what I said.
Yeah, you don't usually go from 4th seat to 1st.
No, like it doesn't happen. So unbelievable. 110-96. You will take the W. You're now back to 2 games over 500. And I'll tell you what's impressive. You're back to having a winning record on the road. Not a lot of teams have a winning record on the road.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of swinging at home, too. I think that they're doing a lot better on that home court when they play the right way, where the defense turns into offense, because that's what gets these fans going. Okay, this is a great point. The Kings, and they are not good enough, Grant, to do this, to where they just play defense for a quarter and a half, 2 quarters. This was in the first half. Look at this. You've got the ball in the corner, getting ready to be shot up right there, and look at where all your Kings at. You got Fox standing looking, Keon watching, Sabonis watching. This was all out of the zone defense. And so when you play better teams, that's going to be a problem. That's not going to work. But the fourth quarter, it cleaned up, very much so. But you do that for 3 quarters against Philadelphia, might not be the same result.
Yeah, I'm not worried about Philadelphia that much because they play tomorrow night against the Lakers, which is a huge game for them at home. And I'm still waiting to hear what the deal is with Paul George, who had an MRI. Let me look that up. I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen Paul George? He got hurt in the last game, and there is no Embiid. So Joel Embiid is not playing. He's out. And when he's not on the floor, obviously the 76ers are a different team. Now, I would say this about Philadelphia. They are playing a lot better as of late. But again, they play the Lakers tomorrow. And they didn't have Kelly Oubre in the first meeting when the Kings beat Philadelphia. But Paul George not playing tomorrow. He's already been ruled out. So I would imagine he's not playing against Sacramento. I don't know that for sure. I'm just assuming. All right.
Yeah, remember the Kings had to make a furious comeback. What was it, a 15-0 run to get that win
end the game
at home against Philly?
And that was without Kelly Oubre. Oubre's playing, but I doubt Paul George is going to play. Again, he is not playing against the Lakers tomorrow, and I would assume that he would be unlikely to play 24 hours later.
Well, I worry a little bit more than you do, even though they play tomorrow night. Like tonight, Brooklyn, they had rest, and the Kings in a quarter and a half ran them off the court. If the Kings would have started the game that way, different story. Because when they play at that pace, they play at that high energy level, it's really hard to keep up. And Doug commented about, we got to get the guys into shape, used to playing that way. But if the Kings come out and fart around like they did with Brooklyn, it's the slow starts again, Grant. You give up 30 to Brooklyn. In the first quarter. You can't do it against better teams, regardless of if they play the night before or they're missing a guy.
Chicago beat Denver tonight in the Windy City, 129-121. The Knicks rolled over Memphis at the Garden, 143-106.
That's very a big impressive score. Yeah.
Yep. The Lakers went on the road at Charlotte, so the Lakers also in a back-to-back tomorrow. And Phoenix, with 4.5 left in the first half, they lead the Clippers 49-38. The Suns are starting to play better. You have Dallas. They're rolling against Washington, so they're going to get the win. Minnesota, with 3 minutes left, is up 9 against Atlanta. They're starting to play a lot better.
They are. They're figuring out a little bit more. They're getting a good contribution consistently from Rob Dillingham.
I haven't even noticed.
Gaps for him. Yeah.
Impressive. Yep. So anyway, and then, of course, the Kings break their 2-game losing streak with a win against the Nets tonight. Invite your phone calls, and so happy to have you here. Don't forget about my rant with Grant. Also, don't forget about Sunrise Landing, the newest residential community in Calusa. Go to CalusaSunrise.com. Check out everything, this Blazona development project in Calusa. No Mellorews, no homeowners, adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Also, good access, Highway 20, Highway 45, I-5. Just go to CalusaSunrise.com and get all the information on Sunrise Landing in Calusa.
Love it, love it, love it. Like the Bulls knocking off the Nuggets. How about that?
Yeah, the Nuggets have had some bad losses this year.
They have,
Yeah.
I agree. 100%. Yep. Get in here. We want to hear from you as well. Phil, what's going on tonight?
What's up, fellas? Yeah, I got to agree with you earlier, Grant. It's not a big win, but, I mean, that's a game you got to win. I mean, against that team, you have to win that game. And
I called it, like 24 hours ago, I called it a must-win game.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call a game a must-win unless it's, you're in or you're out of your season's done. But
yep,
I see what you mean right there. But
I called it a must-win based on momentum and the rest of this road trip and how tight the West is in terms of confidence, in terms of just the morale in the locker room. If you had lost this game, I don't know how you come back from that against this team. This is right now one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the NBA with the lineup that they put out on the floor tonight.
I mean, I can't argue with that. That's a good point. But I think let's see what they got. I mean, they got 4 more games on the road, right?
3 more.
3.
They have Philadelphia, Oklahoma City, and Minnesota.
I mean, those are some damn tough games. I mean, I'd say
Philly's not a tough game. Philly is not going to be a tough game, but the Minnesota but the OKC and Minnesota game will. Now they might make Philly a tough game, but it shouldn't be a tough game, especially if Paul George doesn't play.
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be. Hey, Grant. I mean, I know I've been. You guys are talking a lot of basketball, obviously, and we just got done with the championship weekend. I'm a huge 49ers fan, so I'm pretty bummed out, as it is not getting to watch my team in the playoffs. But I know you follow Buffalo, and
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there. Save it for one of our personal shows, either on the King's Court at 1:00 or my show. I'm not going to talk NFL and the reason for that is I don't want to get off the rails. This is a basketball-oriented show, and other than if I do a rant, I don't want to take NFL questions on this show. I hope you understand that.
I absolutely do. And I respect that. But let's go, Kings.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, okay? Appreciate the phone call.
Yeah, Phil, call back, dude. Good job. Well done. Look at you kind of throwing the fishing wire out. You know, you're like, oh, it could be an NFL rant. You get a Niners thing. Oh, no football. I get it, though.
Yeah.
We can go down that hole quick.
Well, here's the deal. If I take one football question, we're going to get 5, 6, 7, 8 more on a Kings postgame show.
I know. I totally agree with you. There's so much going on in that world.
Yeah.
Alex, what's up, Alex? Alex, you there? Our guy Alex got to get the audio figured out. We'll come back to him. We already hit GP. Is GP back for seconds? GP, you back for seconds? No, he is not. All right.
No.
But
we are interested in what you have to say via the chat line. So thank you very much. We don't get to all of them, but we certainly see a lot of them. Sometimes the chat line goes so fast we can't look at them all, but we do try. Absolutely.
Yep. Arturo giving you and Jerry some love. There you go.
Now, I'm not even going to talk about the Kings commentators because all I see on the internet and on my personal messages from people I know and emails and everything else is how bad they are. So I don't even know what to say. Thank you for the super chat. When we don't box out as a team, Sabonis just putting an elbow on his man. Opponents get offensive boards, and we foul immediately. Momentum shifts. There are some issues with that sometimes. All right, there are absolutely a lot of Kings fans in Brooklyn tonight. Yes, there were. That's not that unusual, to be honest with you. The Kings actually had a whole bunch of premium ticket holders for the games in both the Garden and the Barclays Center tonight.
That's right. That is very true. Well, do they usually arrange that with the premiums, or is that just something the premiums?
No, they arrange it. One of the perks if you own a suite. I think they had a special deal at Madison Square Garden for all the loft suite owners. And so, no, they do that on a fairly regular basis.
Very cool. That's a cool trip to make. You're going to see more. Okay, we'll get to you in a sec, Alex. You're going to see more of the offensive rebounds the more that the Kings run that zone defense, because that's the liability of running a zone. It's weak side rebounding. So, they've got to find a body. But when it's in man-to-man, it's something the Kings did extremely well last year. And it's something, as of late, under Doug Christie, it's been a little bit of a struggle.
It has been. Yep.
Alex, coming back to you, dude. What's up, man?
All right. Hey, guys. Good evening. How are you?
How are you, Alex?
Great.
I'm good. Thank you. Hey, I just had a few things I wanted to get your guys' opinion on. Seemed like tonight, totally agree, didn't feel like a good win. Felt like an ugly win, which is better than a loss, but it was still ugly. I felt like we played much better in the second half, obviously. I really liked at the end of the fourth quarter for the last, there's a period of about 2 to 3 minutes before the last few minutes where we played the lineup of Monk, DeRozan, Keegan, Sabonis, and Keon. And it seemed like we really pushed the tempo at that phase of the game. And, it's with Fox off the floor, but to me, I don't know what you guys think, it seems like our pace and our defense and our ball movement is just so much cleaner with that lineup. Just what do you guys think about that?
Ryno?
It is at times. They put the defense into rotation. Now, the pace, nobody's faster than De'Aaron Fox, but with his finger injuries, it's like dribbling with mittens on right now. So he's just doing his best to stay on the court, but pace is there. They like to swing it a little bit more, but the defense is undoubtedly better because you have more switching that you can do and a little bit more physicality on the floor.
Yeah, totally agree. And then the last thing I just wanted to touch on, I'm not do not want to get in an argument with Grant because I love and respect Grant, but I just wanted to talk about this, the Doug Christie not deserving of the coaching role, which I agree with from your perspective. However, just one thought that I have is that
Go ahead.
Doug Christie was the fourth on the bench because of Mike Brown, right? That was Mike Brown's choice to put him fourth on the bench. And at that phase of the season we were in, when we made the decision to get rid of Mike Brown, the organization, Monty, Vivek, they've now decided they don't care about Mike Brown's opinions, right? They're getting rid of him. They don't respect the fact that Mike Brown put him fourth on the bench. Clearly, they felt that the players had a connection with Christie. They had a pulse on the team and felt like the guys are connecting with Christie more than the other.
This was 100% Vivek Ranadive, not Monte McNair. 100%. Okay, that's the problem I have with it. It wasn't Monte McNair. It was Vivek Ranadive. 100% hiring Doug. Now, it may end up being the right choice. It may not. Right now, it looks like it was the right choice. But it's just wrong. Okay, there's a right way and a wrong way to do business in the NBA. And it's not normal. As a matter of fact, it's unheard of to take an interim coach who is not your associate head coach or next in line and take a guy that's fourth on the bench and move him into that seat. It's just not right. That's why I said he didn't deserve it. I didn't say he couldn't coach, or I didn't say anything bad about him as a coach. I just said he didn't deserve it. And that's how I feel.
And Alex,
Fair enough.
there's also some very reputable reports out there that Doug Christie was a part of the discussions when the Kings were hiring a head coach. We want this guy on your coaching staff. So whether it was Mike's choice to have Doug on the staff or not, that seems to have come from somewhere else.
I can guarantee you 100% it was not Mike's choice to have Doug Christie on the staff. I already know that for a fact. Okay. That's not just an opinion. That's a fact. But that doesn't mean that Mike wanted to, for lack of a better term, punish Doug or demote him. Doug wasn't ready to be that guy. He just, I'm trying to say how to explain this, to put it in layman terms. That's, you don't make a jump like that. It's a process. Okay. Now people say, what about JJ Redick? That's a totally different situation. I'm talking about within an organization, when a head coach comes in and has a coach like Jay Triano with his resume and his pedigree for what he's done in his career, that's the guy that should have got the interim role. Okay. It's just like, had Mike Brown had Jordi Fernandez as his lead assistant this year, Jordi Fernandez should have been named the interim head coach. I don't know if he would have been, but he should have been. That's just the way it works.
Fair enough. I see where I totally understand. Respect your point. I just think maybe Vivek had this idea that, Christie seems to connect with these guys in a different way than the rest of the staff does, and which is why he elevated him to that position.
It's not why he elevated him, but that's okay. I appreciate your opinion very much.
You know more than I would know, so
not a problem. And you know what? Thank you for the question. I do appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Yep,
yeah, you have a good night too. Do you understand the distinction, everyone, that I'm trying to make? I'm not. People think I got a beef with Doug because of what happened to me and everything. I've explained this already. It has nothing to do with this situation. Totally irrelevant. One has nothing to do with the other. He didn't deserve to be the interim head coach. That's all I said. I didn't say he wouldn't be able to coach. I didn't say he couldn't coach. I didn't say he doesn't know enough to coach. I said he didn't deserve it. That's what I said.
So the process that you're talking about, though, like there's a way that you work your way up, and I get that, but we're also seeing in sports sometimes things changing, younger people getting jobs, being promoted before others. Do you think that's simply other sports, or could that be working its way a little bit into basketball with the decision making?
It normally doesn't happen within a season. It would happen in the off season. In other words, you can see coaches like JJ Redick, but JJ Redick. Had JJ Redick been on the Lakers bench last year, okay? Had he been been an assistant coach and they fired their coach in the middle of the season, he wouldn't be promoted to head coach in the middle of the year.
Right. Typically not. But you see teams doing different things. And I understand this is not one of those situations. But I think, and I talked about this on one of my shows, Doug Christie does understand what Sacramento fans expect from their team.
Yes.
And the wins, the losses, obviously you want to end up on the left side, but there's an expectation. And I think whether you played the game or not, I think there's an extra level of having played the game here in Sacramento at the height
There's no
of
question about that.
being a King, which, kind of translates to a degree. But here's the thing. Can it translate for 40 more games, Grant? Or 37, 38, whatever we have left in this one?
I don't think so, because your personnel is your personnel, and I don't think that changes just because of who your coach is. So over the long term, no, I don't think so. And that's why I think Monty McNair really needs to make a deal coming up here at the deadline to solidify the bench, or I think Doug's going to have a very difficult time getting this team into the playoffs.
What makes us believe that a deal can get done and I'm playing devil's advocate, that a deal can get done this trade deadline if we're offering the same things that we offered last trade deadline and maybe the trade deadline before?
Great question. I think that Monty McNair is going to have to be creative and get bold here. That's what I think.
What do you define as bold for you?
It's got to be a big piece. It's got to be a major piece, like Keegan Murray, like De'Aaron Fox. If you're going to, I mean, with Doug or without Doug, with Mike Brown or without Mike Brown, the Kings were a non-playoff team last year. Okay.
Right.
And this year, right now, I'm projecting that Dallas is going to win because they're up 20 in the fourth. The Kings are 10th right now in the West. Okay.
And lucky to be there, by the way.
With many, many difficult games ahead of them. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so I still need a larger sample size than most Kings fans. The sample size that I've seen is skewed. And it's skewed because of who the other teams have had on the floor, but more importantly, who they have not had on the floor. The Boston game to me was a big win.
Mm-hmm.
It was as impressive as any win as I've seen this year. But other than that, and I'm trying to do this off the top of my head, almost every game, not all, almost every game that the Kings have won has been because the other team's best players did not play, beginning with Philadelphia. No Embiid, no Oubre. Dallas, no Irving, no Doncic, right?
Yep,
no Klay Thompson. No, all right. Look at the other teams that came in that had key players out of the lineup. I mean, almost every single team. John Morant didn't play for Memphis. Obviously, that's a different team when you don't have Morant.
No doubt. Miami, no Jimmy Butler.
Miami didn't have Jimmy Butler, right?
Yep, absolutely. I guess the thing for me that's a little bit where I'm in the middle, where I get with you and I vibe with you, but then part of it that tugs at me is it's been like that all season. Even when Mike Brown was here, I can't remember how many teams we've truly seen at completely full strength. Oklahoma City, we didn't see it full strength. No Chet Holmgren. Minnesota, I think we saw it full strength. They had everybody.
No, Minnesota was at full strength.
Houston was at full strength. Houston
had played the night before against Denver, right?
True.
And so that's a huge difference. That's a brutal back-to-back. They had played the night before against Denver.
Very good point. Denver, which was a loss. We've seen the Lakers with everybody. So, yeah, there's a handful. We've seen more teams without their key players rather than teams with their key players.
What I'm saying, I just need a little bit. I still need more of a sample size. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
I still need more of a sample size. And I think we'll get it in the next week, assuming that there are no injuries between now and then, because I don't really look at the last Denver game. I kind of like erase that from my memory. I just do. The Golden State game to me was not a good win. The Warriors were without a host of players. They were decimated by injuries, and the Kings struggled to win that game.
Yeah.
The Knicks manhandled them at the Garden, right?
Yep.
I didn't like really for the 48 minutes tonight. I liked about 20 of the 48 minutes. I think 20 minutes of the 48 I liked. The other 28 minutes I didn't really like. I think you beat Philadelphia, and then I want to see what you do against a full Oklahoma City team and a full Minnesota team, who the Timberwolves, by the way, are starting to play a lot better.
Yeah, that's going to be the tricky one. That one right there. They're going to be without DiVincenzo. And then in terms of Oklahoma City, Hartenstein had been out. I don't know if he's returned yet. And I know Holmgren's being reevaluated in another 4 weeks. But regardless, it's kind of the class. Those are some of the teams you expect that you're going to see at the end of the season if you end up in the playoffs or even the play-in to a degree. Flores, we're counting the Celtics as a full-strength win. Hell of a win. Best win of the season.
I agree. Best win of the season. I don't think anyone that says differently, I'm not sure what you're watching, you know? By the way, Hartenstein's not on the injury report for Oklahoma City.
Okay. There you go. So he's going to be good to go. They'll have him back. SGA.
Dort did not play last night, I don't believe, right? Holmgren we know is out, but everyone else is good.
Okay. Jalen Williams playing great for them as well.
Yeah.
They're a freaky team, and they could get better at this break if they wanted to.
But again, I just want to see. I want to see I want to see this team at the All-Star break. At the All-Star break, I'll feel very, very comfortable in evaluating this team. I want to tell you about New Works Plumbing. I don't need any time to evaluate them. I already have, and they're awesome with a capital A. They are available for all of your plumbing needs and repairs 24/7. They're great. I also want to appreciate those of you that have used New Works Plumbing and have reached out and given them your props. Appreciate that. They appreciate that. And New Works Plumbing, they are awesome. Again, all of your plumbing needs and repairs. New Works Plumbing, they are great. Don't forget about my rant with Grant coming up in just a little bit.
Love it. Heck, thank you. If the Kings blow out OKC, is that a good sample size, Napes?
If they beat them by 1 point, they don't need to blow them out. If you go on the road and win in Oklahoma City, that's a big time win.
That's a very big time win. The Kings have played OKC pretty well traditionally, whether they're healthy or not. Yeah. That's one, though. You really hope De'Aaron Fox is able to at least be feeling good coming into that one, because you need him when you're playing an SGA. You need him badly. So hopefully that can continue, or at least be on the healing path.
No question.
A lot of talk still about Foxy. Alex Len, he's not going to be really a big thing. Who's up next? Philadelphia. Philly is up next. As Grant said, no Paul George in that
we
one.
Don't think no Paul
we
George.
Don't think
He's
Paul
ruled out
George.
for tomorrow.
Thank you. He's ruled out tomorrow. They play the Lakers, though, tomorrow. And that's one thing the Kings have in favor on this road trip. They've got time off in between games. They're not going back-to-back.
No back-to-backs.
That lines up very well for them. Yes, you will see probably a big dose of Keon on SGA, but they need to play the pick and roll. When I went back and watched the Knicks game, the communication was so poor on the pick and roll defense. They've got to do it much better, because that's the bread and butter for OKC. About par for the course, Grant. 17 bench points for the Kings tonight. Let's get here you go. Let's get a rant on Jimmy Butler. I would be interested to see where you fall.
Well,
there.
It's interesting that they said that because that's exactly what I was going to do my rant on, and it is brought to you by EDH Motors Automotive Reimagined. And if you go to edhmotors.com, you can see everything they do for you. David and Adam, two guys just trying to do something different and better at EDH Motors Automotive Reimagined. This is a long overdue new concept. Go to their website, check out everything that they have for you. And if you don't find what you're looking for, don't worry. David and Adam have decades of experience in the automotive industry. They'll get what you're looking for, and you'll take delivery of your vehicle at their beautiful auto lounge at the El Dorado Hills Town Center. That means no dealership. You don't have to deal with any of that stuff. It's a really fun experience, folks. And yeah, you're probably even going to save some money on top of that. It's awesome. EDH Motors Automotive Reimagined. Just go to edhmotors.com. That's edhmotors.com. You know, as far as Jimmy Butler, he is being suspended for a third time as he walked out of practice. It is hard for me to imagine, and I think that 99.9999999% of you would agree, that an individual that lives in South Florida, I can't raise my hand on this one, that makes $50 million a year, my hand's not in the air, could be that miserable, that unhappy, that much of a malcontent, that he's not suspended once, not twice, but 3 times, and walks out of practice. And yet, you know what the sad thing about this is? There are general managers right now, today, this second, while I'm doing this rant, figuring out how they can acquire Jimmy Butler. It's unbelievable to me when you look at this guy's history, who has had a problem everywhere he's been. Problem in Chicago, problem with Tom Thibodeau in Minnesota, right? Problem in Philadelphia. Now all of a sudden in Miami, doesn't even want to practice. 50 million big ones. And yet he has been suspended again by one of the best run organizations, if not the best run organization in the entire NBA, with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. What a disgrace Jimmy Butler is. Seriously, an absolute disgrace. And you know what the problem is? If Phoenix gets him, or Golden State gets him, or Sacramento gets him, or Utah, whoever, okay? The first time he is introduced, the fans will give him a standing ovation. You know what should happen? The fans, wherever he ends up, should boo him off the floor for a unprofessional, greedy, egomaniac, malcontent thud. Not thug, thud. Thud, not thug, thud. Meaning nothing but a big, big, big waste of talent because he doesn't want to play. How freaking embarrassing is Jimmy Butler? And that's my rant for tonight.
I think it makes for a very interesting situation with the trade deadline in him, because Miami sent, before this walkout, a lengthy document about the NBA and the NBA PA,
Yep,
trying to make a case for what would be insubordination, which walking out of practice, missing flights, that's unprofessionalism, which hurts your team. But teams are going to be looking to pay 50 cents on the dollar for this guy. And I wonder, if you're Miami, do you just sit on it if you think you got that case made and you're not paying him anyways, Napes?
it's a mess. There's no other way to say it. It's an absolute mess.
Do
Plain
you
and simple.
do you think there's any other side to this story? I'm sure stuff will leak out eventually, but is there any scenarios in which you could see an NBA team could drive a player to want to walk out of practice, to basically want to take their ball and go home?
I've seen that happen. I've seen it in person happen before.
Okay.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on throughout the course of a season. But when a guy is repeatedly punished, and in this case now 3 times,
Yeah.
the problem's not the organization. The problem is the individual.
All right. Fair enough.
And how often does this happen with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra? Has it ever happened before? I can't think of a player.
Yeah, not to this degree. It seemed to really pick up steam when Pat came out and said, we're not trading Jimmy Butler. Wouldn't you say that's when the behavior started to kind of rise again? And
Well, I would say the same thing if I'm Pat Riley. I want to let everyone know that if you want Jimmy Butler, you're going to have to come with a hell of an offer.
damn right. And maybe a team will be stupid enough to do that, i.e. Phoenix.
Well,
Still fishing around.
Not only that, but I mean, other than the late Jerry West, who has more respect around the league than Pat Riley?
Not very many. Not very many. Or a better haircut, too.
Yeah, but I'm just telling you.
No, you're right.
It's incredible. First of all, I disagree with you. Living in Florida, having Ron DeSantis as my governor is the best thing about living in Florida. So I totally disagree with you. It's actually
boy.
the best thing. And the worst part about living, oh, I'm sorry, I'm going on politics. I'll leave that alone. Come
Here
live
we
in
go.
Florida. Come live in Florida, and you would have a completely different opinion.
Yeah, now we're worrying about mudslides here in California because too much rain. I saw a question in here, but I'm going to paraphrase it to you. What's your expectation for the rest of this season for the Kings?
My expectation is to be 7, 8, 9, or 10.
Okay.
And win your first game. Well, if you're 7 or 8 and you win your first game, you're in. But let me back up at the start of the season. Can we do that? And then I'll answer
Sure.
the question this way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything less than a playoff appearance this year is a major disappointment, a bitter disappointment, and a failed season. Agree or disagree?
I agree. I think we're actually kind of backtracking. So it wasn't even just a playoff appearance. I think it was probably winning a playoff round after
Not
you
for me.
acquired DeRozan.
After
Not for
not
you?
being in the after not being in the playoffs this year or last year, I said at the beginning of the season, anything other than a top 8 seed, meaning not 9, 10, 8, would be a failure of a season.
Okay.
And I said that Monte McNair would not retain his job. And I said that even though Mike Brown received a new contract, he would not retain his job.
You did.
And then when Mike Brown received a new contract, I said it wouldn't matter anyway, that it would be just a waste of money like Vivek has done with everyone that he's hired. He would pay it and he would move on.
And it's exactly what he is doing. Yeah, it's weird because, like, even if you pull back a little bit from there, if you look at the decision making where after 22-23, you win 48, you go 7 games with the Warriors, you run it back. I feel like there's an added pressure because you've ran this thing back now, basically for 2 seasons. And so I don't even know if the playoff appearance does it, depending on how you show up in the playoffs.
Anything other than one of the top 8 teams in the West is an absolute failure of a season, period.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay.
And they could still pull that off. The difference between 10 and 6 and 4, we're talking between 2 and 4.5 games, Grant.
Well, yeah. Well, also the difference between 10 and 12 is 1 game.
Great point. Very
So
good point.
you don't forget that.
It's a very good point. We talked
And
about
right now you have Minnesota ahead of you, who right now has the tiebreaker. Dallas, you've only played once. Phoenix, you have the tiebreaker. They're all ahead of you right now. And Phoenix is now, by the way, the Phoenix Suns, when they're healthy, are a good team. They've won 10 of 10. Or, excuse me, 7 of 10, and they've now won 2 in a row. They're 23 and 21. The Kings, with a win tonight, are 24 and 22, and Dallas is 25 and 22. So yeah, you could move up to 6 with a hot streak, but if you have a bad week, you would be 12th.
Crazy. And that's why games like tonight, I would say, you said tonight was going to be a must-win coming into it. Anybody?
I'm going to stop you for a minute. I'm going to tell everyone right now. Here's a warning. Okay, understand where I'm coming from. If I see one more comment about Katie Christensen's physical appearance, anything that has anything to do with how she looks, her physical attributes, lack thereof, whatever, you're blocked. If you want to talk that she's not a good announcer, fine. You want to fine. If I see one more comment, you're gone. Warning, you're gone. You will not be back on this channel. You will be gone. Go ahead. Sorry.
Agree 100% with you. I don't even remember what I was going to say. Well done.
Sorry. I'm just not dealing with that. Not dealing with it.
I was just going to say, when you play the bottom of the Eastern Conference, everything's a must win because of what's happening in the West.
Yep.
Mark it down. Must win.
Totally agree. You just went over the standings. We just talked about that, right?
Yes, absolutely. Just saying, any time now that you see the Eastern Conference the rest of the way out, if they're not in the playoff picture, you can't lose that game if you want to be in a top 8. situation.
No, you cannot. Hey, I want to talk to you about Bennett's, whether it's the West Side Grill, whether it is their location in Roseville or Sacramento. You get the great quality seafood and steaks, prime seafood and steaks. And Ryan, I know you were there yesterday with the family having brunch. Good for you. And
Oh, yeah.
I'm showing you the food right there. See, I enticed you to get down there with your family and eat a great meal from Bennett's. Did I not?
Oh, you did. In fact, Napes, you enticed me so much that I thought that I would make you a little bit hungry here. Look at that.
Uh-oh.
Look
Oh,
at
wow.
that favorite. That
Wow.
steak Cobb salad. Little
That's
ahi
my
pokey.
I get that a lot, the steak Cobb salad. It is for lunch along with the redfish. It's either or. I either go redfish or that salad. I love that steak salad. It's great. The steak Cobb salad is
Freaking
great.
Killer. We tried the spinach and artichoke dip for the first
Oh,
time.
that's
Off the
great.
charts too. I almost jumped over the table for the kids' chicken
You're killing
strips.
me.
Even the kids' food looks good. But go ahead.
Now, you know what? You're killing me over here. And I would just tell you, you go to bennettsrestaurants.com, make a reservation or more at bennettsrestaurants.com. Good stuff, Ryno. Good stuff, buddy.
Great stuff. And Grant, when we walked in, because weekend brunch, by the way, as Grant was talking about, but they have this mimosa special where you can get 2 entrees and a bottle of champagne and the orange juice for under $50. So we walk in, it looks like a bottle service club. There's bottles freaking everywhere. Love seeing people take advantage of that. So if you are a mimosa person, get down there, bennettsrestaurants.com.
Now, I have a programming note. Because the next Kings game is an early game on Wednesday, Sean Salisbury has been moved to Thursday this week.
Okay.
All right. So Sean Salisbury normally is with us Wednesdays at 3, but because of the early Kings game, I wanted to have you, Ryan, to make sure that we didn't have any interference with your pregame show. I'm going to have Sean Salisbury on Thursday at 3:00.
Sounds great. Appreciate that. Looking forward to a lot to talk about with championship weekend. And
Yes. And so tomorrow, I'm going to do an 8 p.m. show, 8 p.m.
Perfect.
Pacific tomorrow to talk about all the NFL playoffs, the Kings. That's tomorrow. And you've got the Kings court at 1:00, right?
2:00. We are
2 o'clock.
we're hitting 2 now in
2.
the afternoon. So find us here.
Perfect. All right. So we got a lot of content coming up this week. We got the Kings in Philadelphia, then they go to OKC, then Minnesota. But again, tomorrow night, 8:00, right here, and Ryno with the Kings court at 2:00. And we'll talk football tomorrow. That would be very appropriate. And I'll get into all of the stuff going on that I saw from the championship games. And then Thursday at 3:00, Sean Salisbury.
Looking forward to it. You got a lot of time to break down a rematch of the Super Bowl, my friend.
Do the Kings feel uncomfortable playing in Philly somehow? No. Why would they feel uncomfortable playing in Philly? No.
It's an interesting one.
That's an easy building to play in because the place will be 50% empty.
I don't think the Philly fans climb poles for the Sixers. I think that's
No.
Eagles only.
No, Philly is probably the biggest bandwagon city in America.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. In terms of this, not in a, let me rephrase that. Fans will not pay. It's a blue collar city. Fans are not going to spend their money on a mismanaged product. They're not going to support Daryl Morey's nonsense when he was there. All right. And their ineptitude when you have a Joel Embiid who will not play on back-to-backs and so on and so forth. The fans will be turned off and they will say, 50% of the fans will go, I'm going to spend my money elsewhere. That's what I mean by that. Not that they're not fans,
right?
Not that they don't care, but in terms of going into their bank account and investing in a team, they won't do it. Same with the Flyers. When the Flyers are not good, the fans are not going to the games.
Well, Grant, I mean, an NBA ducat isn't exactly cheap these days. And if you can't even see your own best players, yeah, I get that. 100%.
And no, it's not an Eagles town. It's an Eagles town when the Eagles are really good. When the Eagles are bad, it's not an Eagles town. The link would be 50% empty for the games in December and January if the team was a non-playoff team. All right? Do they love the Eagles? Yes. They're also a great baseball town. When the Phillies are good, that place is packed every game.
Yeah, I was going to
But
say, how do you rank the sports in Philly?
if
Popular to least
it were
popular.
me, I'd go Eagles 1, Flyers 2, Phillies 3, Sixers 4.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I would go definitely. Some people would argue with me, Phillies above the Flyers, but when the Flyers are good, that is a big time hockey town, big time. But you could make an argument. You could make an argument that you could put the Phillies slightly ahead of the Flyers, but the Sixers are 4.
See, we can't even relate here in Sacramento, or unless you're in San Jose, maybe because you're got the Sharks next to you, to the hockey vibe, the hockey town thing. But some cities like Vegas, your buddy running a beautiful franchise there, like it just works. Fans love it. Nashville, hockey's worked there. It seems
Nashville,
like
the Predators, that place is an amazing venue to go watch hockey. And you talked about Vegas, and Dallas does very well with the Stars and many other. But to rank Philly, I'd go the Eagles are number 1. Again, you could put the Phillies 2, but 2A and 2B, Phillies, Flyers, Flyers, Phillies, and 4 is the Sixers.
like a lot of crossover fans between the teams, or do you just have hockey fans, baseball fans, basketball, football?
If you're a Philly, you're pretty much all 4 teams. Not everyone, but they're pretty much you're all in.
Okay, very good. Love it.
Yep. All right. So tomorrow, 2:00, the King's Court, 8:00 with me. We'll talk a lot of football and basketball and anything else going on. That's tomorrow. Ryno, appreciate you, buddy.
Appreciate you too. Looking forward to your 8 p.m.
I look forward to your King's Court. And for everyone else, appreciate you joining us here. Hope you have a great rest of your evening. We'll see you tomorrow right here on If You Don't Like That. Bye-bye.